Today I fucked up by sneezing during sex. Obligatory. This happened yesterday evening. Also important to know, I'm 6 months pregnant with my second kid, and things, well, they function a bit differently than I expect them to, sometimes. So, I asked my husband to go down on me. All is nice and well, right? Everybody loves oral, fun times all around. I started feeling a sneeze coming up after a while, and since I'd made sure to clear everything out beforehand, decided that it'd be okay to just let that sucker out. Whatever the fuck caused it, be it the hulking uterus pressing onto my bladder, or just weak muscle tone, it was not okay. To the poor man's great horror, the second I sneezed, pee just gushed into his mouth like he'd asked for the world's largest golden shower. He just jumped up and ran to the bathroom while I started wheezing from laughter, and I was mildly worried until I heard him start to crack up as well. So here's my pro tip: you already know not to trust a fart, but don't trust a damn sneeze either. I'm just glad we've been married for quite a while, because I couldn't even fault anybody else for running away. He won't stop making fun of me though. Too long didn't read, accidentally peed into a sucker's mouth while he went down on me. He didn't file for divorce immediately. You've got a keeper. I knew that when I threw up on his dick not even 2 years in, and he started laughing. Good man, good man. The laugh you heard was him swallowing your pee because he has a fetish. I mean, we've talked extensively about fetishes and I wouldn't have a problem with it, but the speed at which he ran off and wildly rinsed his mouth suggests otherwise. My girlfriend would be mortified if she did this to me. I would laugh it off, but definitely never let her live it down. It definitely is super mortifying in the moment, but considering a lot of gross shit happens during sex that you can't help but cackle at. And, you know, he watched a squalling demon erupt from my nethers a few years back, then decided to enable that same state again? Gotta have humor. At least you didn't have drunk sex with your cousin and ruin your relationship. Could you link me to the story? I clearly missed something here. Now at least your man can say STH like this beer tastes like piss and actually know what he's talking about. I know that this is super uncool to do, but thanks, kind stranger, for the silver on this piss post. Today I fucked up by getting drunk and going to bed early. 2 things you need to know about me: I'm a pretty neat person, and I'm a woman. After a long week, I decided I wanted to spend my Friday night at home with a glass of wine to unwind, then go to bed absurdly early to catch up on some much needed sleep. Unfortunately, I'd forgotten I have no wine, so I settled for the only alcohol on hand, vodka. I ended up drinking too much. Don't worry, I balanced it out with a large glass of water, don't want a hangover, and stumbling to bed around 8. Come 2:09 AM, my frat boy neighbors get home from whatever bar they were at and yell at each other in the streets until their friend's Uber arrives, like we don't live in a quiet residential area full of apartment buildings. I lay in bed for an hour before coming to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be able to fall back asleep, and my Saturday is starting much earlier than I'd planned. The time I got up isn't really relevant to the story, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to tell my neighbors, from the bottom of my heart, to go fuck themselves. I'm about to get dressed when I notice my sock drawer is open, which immediately strikes me as weird since 1, I don't leave drawers open, and 2, I haven't worn socks this week, and that's literally all that's in there. Also, 1 pair has been pulled out of the row. Yes, I fold my socks, and is just laying on top. I pick it up. It's wet. All the socks are wet. And despite all the drinking I did last night, I don't have to pee. Horrified, I realized that at some point in the night, I must have gotten up, pulled open my sock drawer, sat down, and pissed on my socks, and then wiped. I checked the sleep tracking app I use, and sure enough, a couple hours after I went to bed there's a recording that confirms my theory. Also, I was talking and singing nonsense words to myself in my sleep, like an insane person. So here I am, starting off my weekend with a drawer full of urine-soaked socks, and the sun isn't even up. Too long didn't read, drank too much, forgot to pee before bed, ended up sleepwalking to my dresser where I used my sock drawer as a makeshift toilet. Extra points for most creative way to get drunk and piss your drawers. Haha, Happens more often than you think. Also, after some heavy drinking, my brother was woken up by his girlfriend punching him and screaming at him. That's when he realized he was peeing on her CD tower. He'd been looking for an excuse to break up with her, but the incident seemed to do the trick. He still jokes that he pissed her off that night. Also have a friend who knew a girl that brought her boyfriend home to meet her parents. Much later, after they were engaged, the girl's parents told her that during that first visit they were woken up by the boyfriend sleepwalking into their room, peeing on their clothes hamper and sleepwalking back to bed. The parents hadn't said anything because they liked the boyfriend and didn't want to embarrass him. For a little while in college I was in a 3-person dorm. I'll never forget waking up to "Chris, you're pissing on our food," and seeing my other roommate had stumbled in drunk, opened the mini fridge and started peeing in it like a urinal. About 30 years ago, when we shared a house, my brother wandered into my bedroom at about 3 a.m. and began pissing in a corner. It took me several seconds too long to realize what he was doing, and before I could shout a warning, abuse at him, there was a huge bang as my power amplifier blew up. Suffice to say, it wasn't just his wallet that hurt the next day. Smile. Did your brother get electrocuted from the amp back through his urine stream? Ouch. This chick who lives down a few blocks drank some vodka so she'd sleep like a rock. She must have gotten lazy, though her memory is hazy. Instead of the toilet, she pissed on her socks. Today I fucked up by giving myself an impromptu at-home colon cleanse. If you've never tried the Archer Farms trail mixes sold by Target, I highly recommend them. My favorite is the black and white trail mix, which has chocolate and yogurt covered peanuts and raisins, plus plain peanuts and plain raisins. My habit was to pick out the coated pieces, my favorite part, and then kind of force myself to eat the plain nuts and fruit. Well, yesterday in the bulk foods aisle of my grocery store, I had a revelation. I could just buy myself chocolate coated raisins and peanuts and yogurt coated raisins and peanuts, mix them together, and enjoy the wheat of the trail mix without suffering through the inferior, boring chaff. Eureka! So last night before bed, I sat on my couch reading and mindlessly eating from the gallon-size freezer baggie that contained my trail mix of the gods. By the time I was done, it's entirely possible I had consumed, oh, maybe a pound of this heavenly treat? Yup. I ate close to a pound of raisins in one sitting. Around 5 a.m., I wake up with a little rumble in my intestines. I make my way to the bathroom just in time to unleash a torrent of what can only be described as Satan's soup into my toilet. 4 hours later, I'm writing this to you from my once porcelain throne, which now looks like Chernobyl had a baby with the Hindenburg and then dipped it in a septic tank. Not only every food I've ever eaten, but also every thought I've ever had has now exited my body via my chapped, burning asshole. This is my home now. I live in this bathroom and will until humanity perishes in the robot wars of 2032. Can I prove the raisins caused this? No, I cannot. But in my heart, I know. Wait, I think my heart just landed in the toilet bowl next to my spleen. TL, doctor, don't mindlessly snack on raisins unless you have a colonoscopy scheduled soon. Here's a photo of the offender. This makes me think of the sugar-free gummy bears reviews. Oh dear. It was absolutely the raisins. Sorry for your terrible fate, but great writing. I went through the same thing years ago with cherry tomatoes. I knew it was them because of the skin that was in with the lava spewing from my butt. They can pry tomatoes, of any kind, I don't discriminate, from my cold dead hands. I've never had a bowel issue with them though. And I've eaten many meals in the past that consisted of sliced tomatoes and salt and pepper. Lol. My parents wanted to be all hippie and give me raisins as a reward while toilet training. Yeah, turns out that was not a great idea. My younger sister got M&Ms. Next up, my toilet bowl is not going to need so much a cleaning as it will an exorcism.